Good evening, everyone. This is the August 28th meeting of the Revere City Council Zoning Subcommittee. We have several items on our agenda this evening. The first item is 17-222. It's a communication from the mayor relative to an ordinance providing for a 6-month hiatus relative to the granting of special permits for standing signs. This was something that former mayor and councillor Bob Hast had put forth that we're going to continue. It's in the committee. I understand that there are some people from the beautification committee here for it. If anyone would like to speak.
We always do. Short group. This won't be a great speech. Okay. Right. My name's Ron Champeau.
Carol Haney.
Annette Ornstein.
PF Wonderland.
And of course, Eleanor Vieira is right over here. On the right. We're definitely in support of this hiatus. We've been up here for, I think, 6 years running. Our desire has always been to the development of a new comprehensive billboard ordinance in the city. I know I've worked with several of you here in this board. We look forward to this. We look forward to the hiatus, and then at that point, during that time frame, to work on developing a strong, comprehensive billboard ordinance that's going to benefit the city. And we're totally in support of it. And I think we spoke to the planning board about this. Do you want?
Yes, we did speak to appear before the planning board when they were discussing this issue, and they agreed with us that that is something that should be done. We would like the moratorium so that an ordinance that would better serve the community, the city of Revere, can be drawn up. And if we have 6 months to do it in, if you people have 6 months to do it in, then it can be done properly, and hopefully we can end up with an ordinance that we will serve all of us. Thank you.
Just to let you know that we're more than willing. I mean, we've been working on this for years. I mean, we've researched this, went to all the ordinances through all the cities and Commonwealth, all the towns in the Commonwealth. So we're very, very familiar. We have some expertise, at least without deluding ourselves. I think we do. But we're more than willing to be of service, and that's what we're here for. And we hope that this will pass. Thank you.
Well, thank you all so much for being here tonight, and thank you for your support on this. Are there any councilors that have any comments? We'll start at this end. Councillor Keefe.
Thank you, Mr. Chairwoman. I can attest as well, Mr. Champeau and the Beautification Committee has done a really good job. I remember meeting almost a year, actually when I first got on the council, a little over a year ago, in regards to some of your needs and wants in reference to billboards in the city. And like he mentioned, expertise is something that they definitely have, more than myself and probably more than a lot of the members of the council. Ron spends a lot of time studying this piece of business that happens in our city. So I'd be happy to support this hiatus, and I hope that the city is able to use Ron's expertise and the Revere Beautification's knowledge in the matter to create what goes next for billboards in our city. So, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Keefe. Councillor McKenna? No? Councillor Morbito?
Thank you, Mr. Chairwoman. First, I'd like to say to the Beautification Committee and those who are watching on TV, each one of them, they are a non-paid volunteer, and they volunteer their time freely to better this city. So I applaud you and thank you for your volunteerism. I am for this hiatus. Whatever I can do to help, I'm here. So just reach out. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Anyone on this side? Councillor Patch.
Again, thank you, Madam Chairman. Again, the Beautification Committee, they've done for years now up here, have done a great job. I just got one question. If somebody wanted to do change a standing billboard for electronic one, is that going to be allowed or not? Or would it go through the process of being before us?
I believe that detail would be something we'd have to take up under the ordinance, and one of the details of the ordinance to make sure it's included for that. We could definitely add it as a recommendation to this, if you'd like to add that attachment.
Oh, I don't know, I'd just like to know how you feel about that. I hate the regular billboards, but I kind of, if we're gonna have them, I kind of like the electronic ones.
Yeah, but I think this is something to talk about, to negotiate. What's the benefit in the city? I think we have markers. We have other cities who've worked on this issue, and they've limited the amount of electronic billboards. Some have really eliminated, won't put any of them in.
Right.
Some have stopped the other type, the non-digital billboards, and allowed a few of the electronic billboards. So I think it's something to talk about, to work on, to find out what's the best for the city.
Right.
I mean, I think that's the key. I mean, do you want to put an electronic billboard in somebody's backyard? Of course you wouldn't. You want to put it in some specific area. But I think there has to be a number, and I think
I don't
you'll
want any
find
new
that.
ones. I don't want any, I'm
I know.
talking old, I'm talking
I remember
old.
your deck. I remember you told me the story
The
of your
old one
deck.
there with the flapping and the,
Right,
how many times I had to call
Right.
them for the flapping of the, not taking care of them, they just
Right.
don't.
No,
But the electric
Right.
seems to be nice. I
Right.
like them.
Right, right. But I think there's a balance. There's always a balance
Right.
in life, and I think that's what, I think we're trying to achieve a balance. I think it's swung in the other way for so many years, so that the city hasn't benefited. So I think it's time for us to stand up and move forward to create a proper amount, number, and locations of where billboards should be put, and also whether or not we could find a way to make it beneficial to the city financially.
Right. Thank you, Ron. I agree with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Patch. Councillor Novoselsky.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. Ron, through you, you seem to be the expert on this thing.
These floors are slippery. You're going to kill me. I'm old.
I know. We're talking outdoor billboards, the big
Yeah.
ones. Now, in your definition of this parameter, is this also the smaller ones that are on people's properties?
Right. No, excuse me. I think, there again, I think we should, to take a look at what other cities have done. They have a really comprehensive, not just billboards, but signs. If you really read our sign ordinances in the city of Revere, I'm not going to say, I'll use the word primitive. They're actually primitive compared to some of the other cities. I think that has to be worked on, Ira, Councilor. But I think maybe this committee, put everything together, look at it. Right now it stands, what is a billboard, according to what the Commonwealth gives the billboard.
Right.
That's what my presumption is
Now,
we're looking at.
The mayor's coming in for an extension of a previous 6-month.
Correct.
What have we done in the last 6 months?
Well, in all due respect, I know Bob Haas was interested in working on this. We try to get a committee together to work on this, but things happen in life, and it didn't work out. But I think now, with the council support, getting council members involved in this, we can go forward with this. 6 months, Lord willing, we should be able to.
I would hope that we can get something in the next 6 months.
I think
know
we
it's-
should,
It's,
yeah.
it's election time, and, I'm not using that as an excuse not to do it, but we should be doing something.
Right.
Within 6 months, we've already had 6 months where we haven't done anything. And I believe that there's a legal issue, too, on how many times you can renew it, a moratorium, because they give you X amount of time to try and build something to replace what's in the books now.
Yeah.
But we can't keep doing it,
Yep, I agree.
forever.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I would hope that, you as a, proponent of this, should even, pursue it with us, about having a meeting. I don't know whose
absolutely, yeah.
committee it was in.
Absolutely willing
So,
to be of assistance, all of us.
Just a point of
yeah.
information, there's no current moratorium for signage in the city of Revere right now. This motion that Councilor Haas put forward was the beginning steps of this process, but
Okay.
there is nothing that has been voted on. There is no moratorium on file. This is the initial phase
Okay.
to begin that process.
Okay.
Right.
Then I stand corrected, and I look forward to working on it.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other councilors? Councilor Powers.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. I had heard couple of months ago, and I want to state clearly right now that there was a billboard proposed over at Brown Circle on the Lynn Marsh Road there, or close to the Brown Circle. And I said it then, and I'll say it again tonight, I would have to vote no on that billboard. I think that billboards do have a place, maybe on the East Boston line at the McClellan Highway. I did vote for 2 billboards over there many years ago. I think that electronic billboards in a certain area may do well, but certainly not in a neighborhood, not in an area that's heavily impacted by traffic where people are constantly looking up to see what the billboard says before it changes. And I think if there were ever a study done, you'd find out that a lot of the accidents on the Massachusetts roadways could be related to that in some way. So I have no problem with having a moratorium. I have no problem in being part of a committee that would look at this and come up with some clear and concise opinions with regard to not only billboards, but signage all throughout the city. I mean, I remember years ago, when I was a lot younger, you'd go to a grocery store and there was always a small one-panel board on the side of the grocery store. It said Coca-Cola or Camel cigarettes or something like that. And it looked terrible. It looked terrible. And I think what we've done over the years is allowed too many of those billboards in the inner city, in the city of Revere. And I think that's got to come to some type of a resolution with regard to not only stopping any more of those, but also the type of billboards that do go up there. So I will work with your committee, your beautification committee. You do a wonderful job. The city certainly looks a lot better today than it did 20 years ago. And I will work with you and I'll support you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor. Seeing as there are no other councillors that wish to speak on this, I'll call a roll call of the committee members. Councillor Keefe?
Yes.
Councillor McKenna?
Yes.
Councillor Powers?
Yes.
Councillor Rotondo is absent and Councillor Zambuto is recused. This will be voted out favorably to the committee as a whole later this evening. Sure.
Right. Just so it doesn't go askew again, as we had talked, is there some way, I mean, I thought the premise was a 6-month moratorium and then this council would set up a committee and during that time frame. I think that was the conversations that we were having during that time frame. So who is going to be, just so that we can follow up, what is the next step? Who is going to be setting up the committee and with the committee members? That's just so that we can make sure that we don't lose at this time.
So the city planner would probably be the point person for any sort of ordinance change like this. I'm sure many members of the council would be happy to be a part of that conversation, but I would say I'd start with the city planner. Once this is voted on this evening, then it's on record that the council supported it, and then it would go to the planner's office where he would then be in charge of making sure it happens.
Okay, but as far as membership, say if, is there going to be community involvement? Will we be allowed to present or be a part of the committee?
I would, of course, I would recommend
Yeah.
definitely having a meeting with, we can invite the councilors and the city planner. If we're going to invite the council, we'd have to look and make an open meeting. Because if there's too many voting members, it has to be an open meeting. But definitely see what city councilors would like to be involved. We'll get the city planner in and just have maybe a general planning meeting and then go from there, because I know it was something Councillor Haas was heading up, so we'll kind of have to start fresh to make sure that it's carried out. So I would definitely say we'll start with the city planner. We'll coordinate something to get a public meeting so that councilors can be present and any members of the community that want to be involved, such as yourselves, can be there as well.
Okay.
Madam President, I would think that the city planner and also the council president designate members of a committee willing to serve, and also make part of that recommendation that the beautification committee have input into that, like a member of the city council or the city planner. Have the same type of input. So that way there it's balanced, and we're not getting just something that's being decided by the city council. We want neighborhood development into this too, and that's what I would recommend. Thank you.
Of course. Councillor Keefe?
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. I would agree with Councilor Powers, and also, understanding that we don't want this to just fall. But similar to, we're currently underway with the resident permit parking program, and through the mayor's office, they've developed a committee and invited stakeholders to be part of that committee. So there's actually some roots to the program. I think that we would start with the city planner. If the city planner and the solicitor's office would like for me to help develop a committee, a separate committee with the community and stakeholders on the council, then I think that would be the best idea. I mean, obviously, you would want to have certain councilors that are more involved and/or councils that have the more billboards in their areas. So maybe someone that has a highway district, or someone that is maybe more involved in those areas where billboards are affecting their purview. And that's I think that would be a good recommendation.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. All right, the next item on the agenda is calendar item 17-269. Hearing called on the application of PF Wonderland LLC, seeking permission from the City Council to convert 20,000 gross square feet of general retail space into a health club at 151 VFW Parkway, Revere. Hello.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. Members of the council, my name is Attorney Emilio Favorito, 7 Dawes Street, Boston. Here representing PF Wonderland LLC in this matter. It's pretty straightforward. The DeMartinez family, which for the last 5 years has been operating a Planet Fitness over in the Northgate Mall, is seeking to occupy the space formerly occupied by Marshalls at the Staples. Did I say Staples? Don't I? Yes, the former Staples location at Wonderland Marketplace. As you're aware, retail in this sort of smaller mall is a difficult use, a declining use, and given the track record of the DeMartinez family in their existing location, I think they've demonstrated that they've made a positive contribution to the community, and we're just seeking to allow the change of use as indicated. If there are any questions, I'm more than happy to address them.
Thank you. Are there any councilors that have any questions? Councilor Keefe.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. Through you to the attorney. Just out of curiosity, obviously we know that Planet Fitness is operating in good standing in the city, and they've done a good job over at Northgate. How is there a lease already signed, or how long is the intentions of going there? Is it going to be a long-term deal with that development?
There is a signed lease. The terms are, Sal? 10 years with two options to follow, 2 additional 10s.
Okay,
10
good.
years with 2 additional 10-year options.
All right. So you're looking to be in the neighborhood for a while, and I think we heard the last meeting that there's some from Councilor Guanasso that neighborhood would be looking for, or Councilor Powers and Novoselsky, sorry, that they'd be looking for some health clubs in that area for some of the new residents along the beach. So, good. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Keefe. Any other councilors? Councilor Novoselsky?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm very excited about this. They're a great organization, 2 great guys, and they care about the city. They're staying in the city, and the operation currently in the city and East Boston are outstanding, to say the least. And I look forward to having another outstanding facility, and something that I don't have to go out to West Revere and travel across city during peak peak times. You know, it's 3 minutes from my house, and I almost stepped in today to see how things were going. I saw the doors open while they were working, so, but I'm excited about it. I think it's great for the city, great for the neighborhood, great for the Planet Fitness owners. And I look forward to it happening and seeing what happens in November. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Powers?
Thank you, Madam President. I think this is a great idea. Anytime you can see a business close and be reopened as another business, I think that's a tremendous plus for the city of Revere. Right across the street from Wonderland, as we all know, Wonderland is coming down now. 2 months from now, that'll be a vacant piece of property, and we'll be looking to bring potential developers into the city. And I think when you look to bring developers into the city, to look across the street and see businesses close is not a good thing. So I applaud these people. I think they've already shown how they can run a business in the city, and I think it's a good thing. And I intend to support it 100%. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councillor Powers. Councillor Zambuto?
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. Is that the correct term, Chairperson?
It works.
Let me just say that I couldn't be more excited about a development, and like my colleague to my right just said, you have a business closing, and this is probably the quickest turnaround for a business opening on a business like that, and that size of an establishment turnaround in this kind of a quick time. But more importantly than that, the DeMartinez family has a track record of excellence. They're the type of people we want in this city, and we already have them here in this city, and I couldn't be happier that they want to invest more in our city, and we're just thrilled to have you, and I certainly support this wholeheartedly. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor McKenna? Councillor Morbito?
Thank you. Just want to say a lot of people in the neighborhood, the Point of Pines area, the Beach Bond area, Shirley Ave area, they're anticipating this because most people go to the East Boston gym because of the traffic in Revere. So therefore, this will be a convenience to the people of that area. And Sal does a great job with the operations of every gym in the surrounding areas. So, and the DeMartinez family, I couldn't ask for a better family to run this operation. So, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor McKenna?
Thank you. I was just introduced to the DeMartinez family, and I know where I've seen you. I'm a member of your gym. But I just want to say that you run a really clean and wonderful organization, and I love going there. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Granasso?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Certainly, I want to echo all the sentiments I've offered out for the DeMartinez family. And I said previously at the public hearing that what a wonderful family to come again to our community and offer their services to our residents. Certainly, the business that they have at Northgate is a first-class operation, and I look forward to another first-class operation down in Wonderland Marketplace. I am a member of Planet Fitness up in Northgate, but please, I've cheated the last couple of months. I haven't been there, and so don't look at my belly. But it's through their fine efforts that kept me out of having diabetes medication, just walking on the treadmill 20 minutes a day. So if we can offer this out to our community more readily available to them, put us all in good health, and it would make for a better community health-wise. And I certainly, working with the DeMartinez family is a pleasure and an honor because they're so reputable people. And we look forward to the grand opening and the rebirth of that Wonderland Marketplace. The only exception I have is that I won't be able to get my ink from my printer there, so on my posties, but I can go to Saugus and make well with that. So congratulations to the DeMartinez family, and again, thank you for coming to our community. Thank you, Madam President. Chairman.
Thank you, Councillor. Are there any other councillors that have any questions? So there were several recommendations made by the site plan. Did you guys receive a copy of that and have any questions as to those recommendations?
trying to recall if we received recommendations from,
Stated August 2nd from the site plan review to you. I'll read them, that's fine.
thank you.
So the first recommendation is that the special permit and site plan review shall be subject to the final construction plan review by the building department. Next is the plans must be approved by the fire department. Third is a sewer connection and water connection permit must be obtained from the DPW. The city engineer and DPW superintendent must review and approve the proposed sewer service and water service plan for the proposed health club use. And a final as-built plan must be filed with the building inspector prior to an issuance of an occupancy permit. The final as-built plan shall show the location of all utilities within the site, including water, sewer, drainage, and parking. So 4 recommendations, pretty straightforward. If you guys need a chance to review them,
I don't see any issues.
awesome. I echo the sentiments of my colleagues. It's a great business that we look forward to having 2 in the city of Revere now. As everyone that's a member of the West Revere Club knows how busy it gets during peak hours, so I think it's going to be great to have that same resource for the east side of the city. So we're happy to have you and are looking forward to it. At this time, I'll call, any other questions? So I'll call a roll call of committee members on this. Councillor Keefe?
Yes.
Councillor McKenna?
Yes.
Councillor Powers?
Yes.
Councillor Rotondo is absent, and Councillor Zambuto.
Yes.
So this will be voted out favorably to the committee of the whole this evening. All right, next item on the agenda this evening is item 17-270. Hearing called is ordered on the application of John F. Annese, trustee, seeking permission from the Revere City Council to construct a second-story addition on an existing non-conforming structure for an office and dental lab in association with an existing dental office at 106 Broadway. Attorney Simeoni?
Good evening, Madam Chairperson. My name is Attorney Lawrence Simeoni with law offices at 300 Broadway, Revere, Massachusetts. And this evening, once again, I represent John F. Annese, trustee of Broadway Nominee Trust, who seeks a special permit in accordance with 1740-030A to make structural changes to a non-conforming structure. The property address is 106 Broadway. It's Lot K under the assessor's records. It's 1,100 square feet. The building was built in 1900. It is approximately 780 square feet. I have with me Mr. Valenti, who is the architect that has designed the modifications to the structure, and I'm going to let him make a presentation to you at this time, and I'll answer any questions. Madam Clerk, I still have some photos that you might. So there are the photos of the existing structure for those of you who can't remember from your site visit. As you can see, it's a single-story commercial structure. Our proposal is to put a second story on, and I'll let Mr. Valentin talk to you about the proposal. You want to come over here? Maybe, John. Yeah, it's a lot easier. They'll be able to hear you, John, from here. Bang away.
Good evening, Council. My name is Dominic Valenti. I am an architect, and I represent this, this project. As you're probably all aware, because I believe you had a site visit, it's a very small site and a very small building, and the operation of the building warrants additional space, and the only way we would be able to get additional space was to go vertically up. In addition, the building also needed handicap toilet facilities and a handicap entrance. The building sits almost entirely on the property lines as it exists right now, and it will sit entirely on the property line when if this addition is approved. The addition is very small. It's on the ground floor. The major addition is actually the second floor, which is an entirely completed space, filling just about the entire lot with the exception of 3 feet on Broadway. This will entitle them to have, again, the toilets, but it'll also allow them to have a larger laboratory up on the second floor, give them place for files, which, as we all know in the medical business, there's loads and loads of files, and a place for the employees to have a break. Right now, and I've been there, and most of you have been there, you can see there's very little room to do anything. So hopefully this board, well, this council would approve this addition, which is, I think, in dire need.
Thank you. Are there any councilors that have any questions regarding this? I know many of us did visit the site. Councillor Keefe.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. I don't have any questions. I did visit the site. I met with the Annese family, both doctors. And I just wanted to make it clear that very excited that a business that's been in the city for this long is going to use this type of addition to stay in business for as long and stay in the city of Revere. We've talked about businesses, unfortunately, getting larger and having to move out of the city into different properties. This business will be able to stay in the city, stay on Broadway, service the community as they have for the last 40, 50 years, and they'll continue to do so. We're not and the good part is they weren't adding any space to necessarily increase the amount of flow into their business. It was more of the amount, space to increase the level of service to their current patient base, so that they can do a lot of on-site work, whether it comes to do with the machinery that they can add to the upstairs. So they're not going to be getting people going up there. That was made very clear to me by the family and by the attorney, that they wouldn't be able to have guests up there because it wouldn't be coded for that. But they can service their guests with the machinery and the equipment that they'll be able to have up there. So I'm very much in favor of this project.
I think you made some very great points, Councillor. Councillor McKenna?
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. I also visited the site and met the Annese family, and they have a tremendous dental business and work under extremely tight conditions. They want to keep the business in Revere, as Councilor to my right said, and we want them to stay, so I'm in favor of this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Steve? Councillor Morbito?
Thank you. I also had the opportunity to visit the site. I also was there when I was younger. My mom, when she was alive, that was her dentist. So they have a great family practice, and I'm glad they're passing it on from generation to generation. I like to see that. I like to see a business grow big and stay here. And like Councillor Keefe said, this isn't to increase the volume of their business. It's to stay up with the technology in their business and to give the clients that sufficient service they need. So I'm a proponent of this.
Thank you, Councilor.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Novoselsky.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Being an ADA advocate, and I was brought up in the world, having been in facility management for 30 years. Do you have a rendering of what the front of the building would look like? Just, that's all you have is the elevation? And I'm wondering where the access point for the ADA would be? And the Broadway, where the 6-panel window is? Out to the edge of the property line. Right. Okay. I was just curious, so, but, I look forward to seeing this go up. I know it's an older building. You have to get some work done to it. And I think the second floor is the way to go. And I wish everybody good luck on it.
Thank you.
I will be voting for it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Patch? Anything?
I think I already spoke on this before. I am in favor of it. I myself was a patient there back in the early 70s with the grandfather, so how could third generation down the road, let's keep going. So I'm definitely in favor of it. I think it's great to stay in, and it's good for Revere. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Powers?
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. This is really a positive thing for the city of Revere. Anytime when we as councilors can support a proposal to keep a business in the city, particularly a business that's been here for 5 decades. I've known the Annese family back in the 50s. I think Ralph Annese, I don't know if he was a police officer in the city. They have a long history in the city of Revere. And it's so important when we support people, particularly that are in this city, that want to stay in this city and are doing the right thing. I've been down to the site. I met with the owners, with the attorney, and to me, this is just something really positive for the city. Thank you, and I intend to support it tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Zambuto?
Thank you, Madam Chair. At the risk of being redundant, I did speak at the public hearing, but what I probably didn't say, what I did say was that, obviously we want to keep a great business like this in the city any way we can. And with this type of proposal, we're probably bending over backwards, and I'm happy to do that. I dare say if this was a new proposal from someone coming into the city, I probably couldn't support it. So, it's very important to show people that have dedicated most of their lives, this family has dedicated most of its life to the city of Revere and been a great business and a great provider of service, that we stand behind you. And so we know that you need modern technology today, and years ago you could get by in a closet. Today you can't, and so I'm happy to support this and happy to keep a great business in the city. Thank you.
Thank you, Council.
Thank you, Councillor. I echo a lot of the same comments as my colleagues, and I will say it would probably be so much easier for them just to pick a new spot and move, but they chose to stay here and to service their clients here in the city of Revere and invest not only in our community, but in Broadway, and to reface that whole building and really give the city something else to be proud of. So we are very grateful for their commitment to the city, and of course, any business that's been in business for as long as they have and with such a commitment to our community, we want to make sure we can give back and work together with. That being said, there were some conditions by site plan.
Yes, we'll accept those conditions.
Awesome. Do I need to read them into the record, Madam Clerk? Okay, so that will be voted on subject to those conditions during the council meeting as a whole. Are there any other questions? All right, I will call the roll of our committee. Councillor Keefe?
Yes.
Councillor McKenna?
Yes.
Councillor Powers?
Yes.
Yes. Councillor Rotondo is absent, and Councillor Zambuto?
Yes.
Yes, and I'm also voting yes. This will be voted out favorably to the committee as a whole this evening.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. The next 3 items, 17-271, 72, and 73, we'll take up together under subcommittee. However, they'll be voted out separately during the committee of the whole meeting. The first is a hearing called as ordered on the application of James S. George, Mobilitie, 116 John Street, Suite 210, Lowell, Mass., seeking permission from the Revere City Council to install a 3-foot antenna on an existing utility pole at the corner of Walden Street and Shirley Avenue, Revere, Mass. 72 is the corner of Crescent Ave in Bennington, and 73 is Marshall Street and Pemberton.
Good evening. For the record, James George. I am the permitting manager for Mobilitie LLC for New England. Just a very quick recap. Mobilitie seeks special permit to attach to existing wood utility poles owned by the utility National Grid and Verizon. Comparatively, We seek to put a 3-foot antenna on top of the pole and three appurtenances on the side of the pole. There will be no ground space. There will be no trenching to get power to the facility. The facility will come from the pole. We have 3 separate applications in front of you this evening. They are all relatively the same in scope. What I mean by that is the same equipment is going on each pole. Each wood pole is approximately the same height, and they are in 3 different communities in the city of Revere. To speak to the first one is at Walden and Shirley, on top of the hill, right next to the Orange Grove Marketplace, the store. This is an existing 40-foot wood utility pole. Secondary power. We're looking to put our attachment on top of the pole and our appurtenances on the side of the pole. The intent of this project is a densification project on behalf of Sprint to densify the coverage area in, call it a half a block. It'll cover the top of the hill. Call it a half a mile that this propagation goes. The second location is in Ward 6, Marshall and Pemberton Street at Squire. It's again a wood pole. It has an existing light on the wood pole. We're looking to put an antenna on top of it and our wireless appurtenances on the side of it, no ground space. And this is a high density area for commercial, residential, and vehicular traffic in that area. The third is in Ward 1 at the intersection of Crescent and Bennington. We seek to cover that dense residential area as well as the Beachmont MBTA station with this facility. We are looking to bring further facilities into the city, not only on behalf of Sprint, but other carriers. As we work into areas where there is municipally owned facilities, we seek to come into contract with the city and utilize those poles. Currently, we have agreements with not only the utilities themselves, National Grid, Verizon, Eversource, throughout the state, throughout the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, but several jurisdictions as well, some municipalities as well. We recently signed an agreement with the MBTA and MassDOT, which puts us having land control over all MBTA stations, as well as any numbered roadways or any state right-of-way space. So they are the largest owners of real estate in the Commonwealth. With a combination of all that, the movement into 5G is going to be all about densification and small cell. The towers and the 8-foot macro antennas are going to slow down, in my professional opinion. That's the way I see it and the way the money is going. And in order to get streamed data, people using their cell phones for everything, downloading movies and every piece of data, you got to get low to the ground. So that is essentially what I seek this evening. I have 3 in front of you, and I've explained where each one of them is. To answer a few questions that were on the table before at the last hearing, to Mr. Patch, he asked what is in this for the city. This is what we would be willing to do. These facilities are owned by third parties. We will advance an agreement in front of the solicitor to co-locate on city-owned facilities. Now, we tried that once before to put our poles in the right-of-way space, and we were rebuffed. The way this is moving is that same agreement that you rebuffed before will come back before you, and we're doing an awful lot with attachments onto streetlights. In Boston, close to 250 sites. The decorative black poles, it's a replacement project. We're taking them from the ground and replacing our pole at the same height with an antenna on it at 28, 30 feet. So we're doing a couple of hundred of those. The street lights, the Cobra lights, the metal lights with the light on it, taking them out of the ground and replacing them with a like-kind street light that we create. And either we own it or you still own it, but there is a recurring revenue on something like that for everything I just described. So we're doing a lot of attachments. We're doing some new poles, obviously on MBTA and right-of-way space and clover leaves to capture the clover leaves along the roadways. There's existing steel poles that are supporting their intelligent transportation systems for their traffic control. We're going to mirror that with 50-foot poles, but that really isn't happening a lot, but it's happening some. So that's basically the essence of my proposal. It's not only Sprint moving forward. I think Revere, City of Revere, is in its infancy. I happen to be the first one coming through. There will be others. So as the first one, I'm trying to educate on how this is going to go. In these 3 areas, I did not locate any city-owned infrastructure, so I am fitting into the ordinance with my existing wood utility poles. What we will do to try to satisfy the city as it relates to compensation, we're not going to pay 2 recurring revenues on an asset that we don't own. We're paying National Grid for the privilege of being on their asset. We're not going to pay the city on top of that for being on an asset that you don't own and I don't own. What we have done in the past is made a one-time lump sum payment in lieu of taxes, or call it a one-time lump sum permitting fee of somewhere around $500 per application. That essentially takes care of the taxes, or if you were to assess taxes on $8,000 worth of chattel. So that's the compensation that we're willing to do to the jurisdiction for wood poles owned by others. As we move into the city-owned poles, I would much prefer to use city-owned infrastructure, but in these 3 locations, there was none. That's my presentation for this evening.
Thank you, sir. And for the essence of time, we only have about 10 minutes to discuss this, so I'm just going to read the site plan's recommendations, and then I'll go through questions from the council. So site plan gave 4 recommendations, the same for all 3 items. The first is that the antennas are shall not exceed a height of 3 feet above the height of the telephone pole that they are mounted on, and shall be painted a neutral color to match the existing structure that they're attached to. The second is that Mobilitie or any other owners of the antennas shall ensure that they are maintained in compliance with the standards contained in applicable ordinances and state building codes, and shall conduct periodic inspections at least once a year to ensure structural integrity. Inspections shall be conducted by a qualified independent engineer licensed to practice in the Commonwealth of Mass, to be provided by the building inspector. Third is documentation showing that each antenna is in compliance with all applicable federal and state requirements shall be submitted every 12 months to the building inspector. And fourth is all antennas must meet or exceed current standards and regulations of the FAA and FCC and any other agency of the state and federal government with the authority to regulate telecommunication facilities. Did you receive that?
Agreed, but I have a question.
Sure.
Will that be conditioned upon the approval of the site plan? There will be conditions set out on
Correct.
each approval.
So these will be attached to each proposal, each separately, as a condition.
Agreed. Agreed.
Anyone have any questions? Councillor Keefe.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. I have a few questions for you, Mr. George. And pardon me, I know you were talking about a lot of what your company does as a whole. Obviously, the main concern for me tonight is the three poles you're talking about. Well, the last time you showed up, I had asked for a few things. One is, were you able to bring a model of what the antenna or the addition would look like?
I actually don't have a hard model of it, but I do have photographs and spec sheets.
That would be useful in the future. The other was, were you able to get certification that these poles are in good shape and they're able to be used for any additional applications?
Yes, my answer is yes to that.
So you have that?
These not with me this evening. Here's the thing. All right. They are dual owned,
Yeah.
Verizon and National Grid. We have conversations with both of them. I have the Verizon license. The National Grid license, as of an hour and a half ago, is not with us. So the condition is, I don't build this thing or seek a building permit until such time as both National Grid and Verizon give me the license. Part of that licensing procedure is structural reporting and conditions on make ready. If I have to make ready or sturdy up or I can't use the pole, they'll tell me. But as of right now, Verizon has agreed and N-Grid is pending.
All right, and then the last was, you're basically telling us right now that you're willing to pay a fee or to offer some sort of community impact money for the services, but there's nothing tied into that right now. So I almost feel like if we approve this, we'd be selling ourselves short financially if that in other cities and towns that you're paying for these services, even if we don't own the property, you're paying for the right of airways or the for the eyesore that we.
Well, I'm actually not. I'm not on a third-party utility pole. I'm not.
You just said a few minutes ago that you pay up to $500 for third-party poles.
For that one-time fee.
Correct.
I will not pay I will not pay it annually.
So
for the
that
next
fee
30
isn't
years.
tied into any of this. So I'm not sure. I mean, I would want to continue the conversation. They're not in my ward, so I'm not really. I would go err on the side of the ward counselor. But if you're paying other cities and towns, I'd be happy to see if we can get some of that as well. And then maybe we'd have that discussion. But that's just my opinion.
I would accept a condition to pay that one-time fee per site to address the concern of Councilman Patch, who asked what was in it for the city.
Sure.
So I have my authority to say, to do that.
So I would, if I was to agree, I would add in that we get that one-time fee per pole, whatever the allotment is that you're paying, and we would probably have to research what other
Point of
communities are getting.
information,
State your point, Counselor.
there can't be any monetary things put into the special permit.
Very good.
Understood. I would also be looking for the understanding that these poles are in good shape and they're able to be added onto.
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, thank you. One of these poles are in my ward. I'd
Yes.
like to see a picture, please. You said you had a picture of
Yes.
it?
As Crescent Avenue approaches Bennington Street, to your soft right is the T station. To the left is, you take a left on Bennington Street, so it's right at the intersection.
So this is the pole.
Yes, ma'am.
It exists now, right?
That's correct.
All right, so where is the, I don't see the antenna.
It wouldn't, well, I haven't installed it yet.
Right, what I'm looking for is what the antenna looks like,
Okay, I do have that as well.
not the pole. Oh, that's not bad.
It is a 3-foot tubular antenna, this wide. There's not much to it. It weighs less than 50 pounds. All in, it weighs less than 50 pounds.
Yeah. So those two boxes on the side are part of that antenna?
That's correct.
And how high are they from the pole?
That depends.
Because this looks really, really low to me.
All right. If it's a 35-foot pole, 3-foot antenna on the top, typically we like to get the boxes as close to the antenna as possible.
Okay.
So halfway down the pole, call it 20 feet, 18 feet. We do have a electrical bubble on the bottom. That's the bottom appurtenance. I would say that is 10 feet.
10
to
feet.
keep
Okay,
it
so
out
no
of-
one could hit their head or get injured, or the kids couldn't play with that?
That's correct.
It's 10 feet.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Councillor McKenna. Any other councillors on this side have any questions? Councillor Patch.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Mr. George, I thank you for answering my plea for some fee for the city. Have you spoken to the mayor about this?
No, I sent him an inquiry, but I never heard back. So to answer your question further, the agreement that I would pitch to the mayor is
Yes.
specifically for city-owned infrastructure. These particular poles aren't. So I intend to come back with city-owned infrastructure as I come back with 8, 9, 10 more of these things and seek agreement with the mayor.
Now, there's that $500 fee if you come back with more poles that you want to put. Hopefully, we'll get that fee with each pole.
Yes. I can tell you what's public record. How's that?
Pardon me?
I can tell you what others are getting because it's public record. The MBTA and the MassDOT, we signed the agreement as public record. They did it by jurisdictional population, call it. This is an annual fee, $500 annually for a lower, call it rural, $1,000 annually for a, call it suburban, which is what I would call the city of Revere, and $1,500 annually for a high-density city like a Boston. So that's essentially where these fees come in, is $500 to $1,000 annually for a jurisdiction like the city of Revere.
Now, how come we can't get an annual fee?
You get an annual fee, that's annually. If you want it broken out monthly, we can break it out monthly for you. So it's annual.
We're only getting a one-time, you're saying we're only getting a one-time fee.
How about this?
What? Speak to me.
I've looked at your fee structure for your, okay, I understand. This is on, right?
Yeah.
I'm talking about two items. I don't have a problem with call it a one-time application fee for the building permit. Presently, it's $50. I'll give you $500, right? Here's my stuff. Give me my permit. For a compensation factor, recurring revenue for a city-owned infrastructure pole, you get recurring revenue of $500 annually or $1,000 annually. So that's two. So I was trying to speak in forms of two.
Okay, I get you now.
You got it?
Yeah.
Councilor Patch? So since it is a special permit, we cannot add any monetary values to
Okay.
special permits. This is something we could discuss for the future, or something that we could revisit. But however, for a special permit that's on the floor, you cannot discuss any monetary incentives for it.
Okay,
Just the fee.
we can accept the agreement, though.
Correct.
Right, okay.
Yes.
I can live with that. Also, one other problem I do have with the, adding something else to these poles. I think my colleagues would agree with me that working with the utility companies is very painful. It's trying to get double poles down, working the steps down. Hopefully, if you get these permits, that you will work quickly. If these double poles, if your pole happens to be replaced, that you will move quickly to remove your equipment and put it on the new pole, because the other three do not.
I totally agree with you. Here's my position on that. I'm confronted with this in basically every jurisdiction in the Commonwealth. We're on the top, so we're the first one to get off. I also have a very upset Sprint client who just went down. Say a drunk hits the pole, snaps in half, right? I'm down. My client is down. We respond. We take our stuff off, and then we need our stuff to be back up. So we are contractually obligated to get our stuff back up, not only to the subtenant Sprint, but to the National Grid pole owner. I don't like them much either. That's why I'm gravitating towards city-owned poles. So I'm the first there. I'm the first to make phone calls and get the secondary pole up and fix the problem, because I'm more vocal than anybody else.
Okay, thank you for being very cooperative. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Novoselsky.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Welcome back. One thing I just want to confirm, these are wireless units.
Yes, yes.
Okay, you don't have to string any wires from pole to pole to get.
I need power. I need power.
And where you
I
gonna
don't
get
need
that?
fiber.
Where you gonna
Power
get-
comes into the pole. Depending on where the power is, it comes into
So
the
you
pole.
tie into the existing power that's on the pole?
That is correct.
Okay. Madam Chair, just, I know this is kind of a new type of scenario, but, these 3-foot towers, as you want to,
I wouldn't call them towers.
but
Antenna.
thank you. We already have several of them down on the Shirley Ave area, but they're not wireless. Metro PCS put them in several years ago to boost their antenna signal from the Hyman Tower up to the top of the hill. And you don't even know they're there. The neighbors have asked me about this. I told them what it was, and they said, it's going to be way up there. I said, yeah, it's going to be way up there. He said, and these are the neighbors that are abut at the Orange Grove. I said, you won't even know it's there.
Agreed.
And he agreed too, and my neighbors have no objections to this.
Thank you, Councilor. So after the comments from our councilors, Councilor Keefe especially, the condition to add proof of structural integrity of each pole be submitted to the building inspector prior to the issuance of a permit. Would you like that to be added to the conditions?
Yes, please.
So we'll add that to the record.
Agreed.
Are there any other councilors that have any comments? Councilor Zambuto.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's not often we get someone that comes up here and is offering to compensate us monetarily. I was trying to, it certainly can't be done as part of a special permit, but, you're certainly free to enter into a separate agreement with
we
the
will.
city.
We will.
Voluntarily, of course. And anyways, I just wanted to make that clear, but hopefully everything else will work out okay, and the poles will prove to be structurally sound, as I'm sure they will be, because I don't think the utilities would allow you to attach to structurally sound poles anyway. I see someone from
Well, and if they
National
do,
Grid here.
if they do, as these reports come back, I simply won't build it. I don't want to go on a structurally unintegrity pole. I don't want that. And my client wouldn't let me.
Well, we would hope not. Anyways, good luck. Thank you.
Thank you. If there are no other questions, we'll call on this for a vote for the subcommittee. Again, for the purpose of subcommittee, we'll take it up as one vote during the city council. They will all be voted as 3 separate items, all 3 having the attachment of site plan review with the addition of that 5th condition that we just discussed in this meeting. Again, the issue of monetary value to this could not be added to it because it is a special permit, but perhaps in the future, we can look in this committee coming up with like a sort of host-community agreement. So when we're working with you in the future, we have a set of guidelines and rules that, you know, you can discuss with the mayor's office and we can have that agreement in paper.
Yes, agreed. Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So this time I'll call the roll for the subcommittee. Councillor Keefe.
Yes.
Councillor McKenna.
Yes.
Councillor Powers.
Yes.
Councillor Rotondo.
I was not present during the,
So present. Just subcommittee. Councillor Rotondo. So
I can't vote on this, I wasn't present during the presentation.
Councillor Zambuto.
Yes, but as a point of information,
Yes.
He was here for the public hearing. He could vote on this if he wanted to.
Thank you for that information, then my vote will be yes.
Thank you, and the chair votes yes. So this will be voted favorably to the council as a whole, subject to the conditions and findings of site plan review. That concludes our subcommittee report. The city council meeting will begin in just a few moments. Thank you.